The Raptors went from scoring 35 points in the first half to finishing with 123 as they defeated the San Antonio Spurs in overtime. Best win of the season so far?
Nah.
No? Oh, okay.
I mean, they stomped the Bucks and made the Bucks completely change their defense. Like, the Bucks had not a players-only meeting, but a, hey, coach, we all need to talk meeting because the Raptors put up an average offensive night against them. And they were like, whoa. Average offensive night to the Raptors? We got to retool everything. So I think that one's still going to stand out. Okay. This one was fun, but the argument against this one would be we shouldn't have been in a position to be down 22 to the Spurs anyway and only score 35 in the first half. I'd imagine this one will go down as the most fun, though.
Yeah, you are talking to the most short-sighted guy when it comes to the Raptors.
Literally nearsighted.
You told me before you went on air, the Raptors played a best quarter yesterday since the championship season? Is this what you just told me?
I said Scottie Barnes' fourth quarter was the most impressive quarter I've seen from anybody by the Raptors since the championship season.
Okay. Yeah. Do we accept that one, Blake?
With the exception, maybe. Oh no, that was before. No. There was another one.
Utah?
Pascal had 25 in the first quarter against the Lakers on the day that Kobe passed away.
I think it was against the Spurs.
Yeah,
it was in San
Antonio.
Antonio.
Against the Spurs, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know, though. Here's the thing.
I was there. I should remember this better.
What about Fred's 2020 against the Hornets?
Okay, that doesn't count.
Okay.
No, but I thought you were going to say Fred with I think there was a quarter where went 8 for 8 against Utah Jazz.
Yeah, I
the
never...
difference there is that was the third quarter. The Pascal thing was the first quarter. This is the fourth quarter.
Okay.
And we're talking about Scottie fully taking the spotlight, making pull-up jumper after pull-up three, huge offensive rebound, turnaround, two-handed dunk. I mean, what he did to Sohan, disgusting.
Put him in the rim.
Turn him into Gohan.
Yo, legit, man.
Yeah. And Barnes was really good defensively, too.
Yes.
Like, he did not, nobody really had a good defensive first half. There were a lot of miscues and a lot of not finishing out possessions, but he was a monster defensively in the fourth, too. Like, he was reading every play that was coming. He was helping one pass ahead. He was really, really good defensively as well. And then, obviously, that huge steal jumping the inbound route after OG pushed Wemby out of the restricted area on the final possession. Didn't get the shot off after, but the steal and timeout was really heady. I'm with you. I think it's the most impressive. Like, the Pascal one is the one that I would put up there against it, or the Fred one, sure. But
or Kyle in the 30-point comeback, because that's kind of what this felt like.
Yeah, and that was against the Mavs. And Kyle did that with like Boucher and Malcolm Miller and like not the full complement of players. But yeah, I mean, you look at the stakes, you look at the game situation, you look at the style of dominance. And I just love that we've seen this a couple times now of Scottie Barnes having that recognition of and the ability to, hey, this needs to be me for a little bit here. And sometimes that's been 4 or 5 minute bursts in quarters. And this time it was like, no, like more than a quarter of basketball. It was just, it has to be me now.
Yeah, everything was going his way, man. We're talking about like step back, pull up three to tie the game in the last minute of the game to complete the comeback. Like, I mean, unbelievable stuff, man. Good for Scottie.
Yeah, I mean, stars. You need stars to win in this league, and he outdueled Giannis and Wemby last week.
That's not even a joke. That's actually like fully
he
true.
did.
Yeah.
He did, and he got them to 2 wins. Per Stats Williams, my guy at ESPN, you were talking about Scottie's special fourth quarter. So he had 17 points, 2 blocks, and 2 steals in the fourth. And according to Stats, not his real name, he's the third player in the last 10 years with at least 15 points with multiple blocks and steals in the fourth quarter, joining LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony. So
wow,
yeah, there your eye test was great, my brother.
I mean, look, listen, and the funniest thing about this game too is it just came out of nowhere because the Raptors were so dead in the first half. Like I just couldn't believe what team I was watching. Like, I understand that like sometimes they're gonna run into issues where you got a great rim protector, for example, and Wemby is going to shut off a lot of opportunities in the paint. They're helping off of Jakob. There wasn't much space. The Raptors weren't hitting open threes. So I was like, okay, I've seen this sort of formula. But I thought in the second quarter, I was so disappointed. Like, guys going one-on-one. And not one-on-one. One-on-one would be fine. 1-on-2, 1-on-3. Like, guys taking turns, just taking bad shots. Guys giving up, like, straight line drives, blow-bys. And I was just thinking, my goodness, can we just keep this within 10 points? Going into halftime so we could flip it around. And no, the Raptors couldn't do that. They were down a significant amount. And, it was against a Spurs team that, like, yes, they were playing well, but, like, at the same time, like, you would expect the Raptors level to be higher than that, especially coming off of 2 days of rest, too, as well.
And no Devin Vassell for the Spurs, who is, depending on where you want to rank Wemby in terms of impact in these first 6 games for them. Like arguably their best player. Probably not. Like Wemby's going to surpass him very soon, if not. But like 1A, 1B in terms of the quality of player right now. So yeah, you shouldn't have been in that spot. And to your point, like it was not just, hey, you had a 13-point quarter because you got cold shooting. They were cold shooting. Everyone other than OG was. But the body language was bad. The attention to detail defensively was bad. They looked like I think that was pretty safely their worst half of the season.
Yeah, and that's where the need for someone to emerge and lead the team was at its greatest. Because I thought even in the third quarter, the Raptors came out offensively, did a much better job. Felt like they realized, oh, Jakob Poeltl's man is just never on Jakob Poeltl. So when we drive and we see 2-3 defenders, we need to give the shovel pass to Yak, and so he can score the ball. Like, I mean, it's exactly what I asked Pascal about last week in practice. But, you know, like, they had to have the same thing. I think Yak got like 4 straight layups to start the third quarter. But I thought their defense just wasn't locked in yet until the fourth quarter. And that's where I thought, you know, Scottie leading the charge, OG leading the charge, but even some of the secondary guys coming in and providing was great to see. So happy for Malachi and Otto in particular.
Yeah, both of those guys were really solid defensively. Malachi has kind of trended in the right direction on that end of the floor. The offense is still a little here and there.
Hey.
But yeah, I mean, defensively, he's got good hands. He's got good anticipation. Otto, obviously, there was a possession where I think it was Keldon Johnson he stuck with late in the game. And it's like, you see that and you're like, uh-oh. Like Otto, at this stage, are you worried about him? He stuck with him and obviously came up with a couple of big rebounds again. I thought he was really good. Yeah, it was a really, and in Pascal had a really rough game, which I'm sure we'll talk about, but he was terrific defensively as well. And what Pascal being so good guarding guard type guys has allowed them to do is use Scottie in that lower half more, like we talked about before the season. And that's how like Scottie is on an historic pace for steals and blocks because he's allowed to always be around the rim and always be around the paint.
Yeah, no, Darko has done a good job setting up the team defensively. Offensively, though, they definitely needed that push. And
I think like you laid it out there as a pretty straightforward offensive adjustment, but I do think it's notable that they came out in the second half and like were so scripted and obviously attacking that. Yeah. And part of that is OG hits 4 threes in the first half, so the Spurs switched Wemby onto OG, and they were like, "You're going to stay in that corner," and they were sure to design those actions away from that side of the floor. And as long and crazy as Wemby is, he's not going to be able to come from the weak corner all the way across the paint through multiple guys to contest. He might be able to. But when Jakob's catching the ball on, you know, and the rim's right here, you can only, his arms are long, but they can't bend like that around the rim.
You look like Dennis Rodman describing rebounding right now with the arms.
Yeah,
man.
That was the other thing Scottie did in the fourth. He had 2 monster offensive. One he wouldn't have got credit for because he just kept it alive, tipping it a couple times. But before you put Sohan in the dirt, there's a huge offensive rebound where he takes off for it basically as soon as the shot goes up. He anticipated that one really, really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, more stats for you guys. Is this from we have our own stats Williams here, Stats Murphy. Did you put in these Scottie Barnes trends to discuss here?
I don't think so.
Oh, I think I did.
Oh, is this Will
Stats Williams?
Stats Lou? Stats Lou doesn't really hit. Yeah. Stats Murphy hits.
Yeah.
Stats Williams hits.
Yeah.
All right, Stats Lou. Statman Lou.
What's the
all right, what are the stats?
Just read my stats.
No,
man.
you have them. I can't read these stats. I don't know what's going on here.
Why not? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's 3 things that I'm seeing so far with Scottie that in terms of trends, okay? Which Scottie Barnes trend is more impressive? Number 1, his effective field goal percentage right now on pull-up jumpers is 65% on just pull-up jumpers. To break that down, he's at 68% on pull-up 2s and 40% on pull-up 3s. And by the way, he had 2 pull-up 3s in the third quarter yesterday. Both of them very needed to force overtime.
And so people know, like a floater, or a push shot, or a hook shot, those aren't considered pull-up 2s even if you had the ball on the deck. We're talking about jump shots.
We talking about jump shots. We talking about turnaround, pull-up, mid-range, all that kind of stuff.
No Ken Birch moves.
These the ball don't stop stats, okay? At the ball don't stop stats, he's at 65% effective field goal percentage. Ridiculous. All right, number 2. Scottie Barnes is one of 4 players in the entire NBA right now with more than 20 stocks. So that's steals plus blocks.
He got stocks. He got a condo downtown.
Yeah, he really
got
does
a lot
have
of
a condo
investments
coming
right
downtown.
now.
Yeah, honestly, invest in that condo, man. I believe. So more than 20 stocks in the season right now. Okay. It's like him, Anthony Davis. Arslan Thompson's in there, which is good for him.
This guy's a wolf of Wall Street right now.
He really is, man. By the way, Scottie Barnes has also had 5 block 3s already, which I can't actually find what the 3-point block leaders are.
Probably Wemby.
Last year, Bol led the league with 16.
Yeah, so Scottie has 5 in 7 games.
Yeah, that's remarkable.
It is remarkable.
Yeah.
So
Great word.
he is definitely, to me at least, he's probably leading the league, if not certainly leading the league in block threes. And then the third Scottie Barnes trend, Scottie is first or second on the team in every stat.
Not Pascal?
First in points, first in field goals made, first in steals, first in blocks, first in offensive rebounds, first in defensive rebounds, which obviously means he's first overall in rebounding, and first in free throws made. He is second in three-pointers made, one behind OG.
Wow.
And that's because OG hit like, what, 8 yesterday? 7, 8?
Yeah. Like, what are we doing here,
Well,
man?
I
This
mean,
is
this,
unbelievable.
I mean, this makes sense. Like, it passes the eye test, obviously, the way he started, right? Like, the ball's been in his hands. He's been so dominant in, like, crunch time. So,
yeah.
So I would say the most impressive is the shooting one. I also think it's the least likely to sustain, but it's the most important to show that he has that. There was one play in the fourth quarter where Wemby kind of gets stuck between, do I close out hard on Scottie Barnes or do I stay back into the paint? And that little hesitation, Barnes just kind of did like a quick head fake that like as if he was going to pull up, and then he blew way past for a dunk. Like Wemby was caught out of the lane. There was also one where he attacked Zach Collins, closed out too hard, and then Wemby ended up blocking the shot, but Collins fouled him on the way up. So he got free throws off of it. And both of those were products of you'd knock down a couple threes, and especially big men are not going to know how hard to close out on you, where to stop on the closeout and things like that. So I think that one is just, it's not going to maintain 68% on twos and 40% on pull-up threes, probably. Certainly not on twos. I don't think anyone's ever shot that well ever in the history of the NBA. So I don't think that's going to sustain. But I think showing this over an extended period of multiple games here is going to fundamentally change how it's either going to change how teams guard him or it's not going to change how teams guard him, and that shot's going to be available to him.
Yeah. I mean, it's just such a large skill jump in the span of 2 years. And I think that part's just really impressive. Like,
it's also the one where like we can get into, and I know people have the like, okay, well, the system or what his role was or whatever, but like your percentage on jump shots is your percentage on jump shots, right? We can get really narrow with degree of difficulty, your closest defender or whatever. But for the most part, if you hit 28% on 3 threes a game, you're a 28% 3-point shooter. And he was 30% in his rookie year. So like that's one area that like the system doesn't really affect it. If you're just knocking down way more threes, that's obviously a skill progression for you.
I think it's also not just a skill progression, or maybe it's related to the skill progression, but it's a confidence thing too. Like, every game now, you'll see Scottie come off a screen, off ball or on the ball, and if the guy goes under the screen, he's actually just popping that three.
Yep.
And it's a correct basketball read, like for most players in the league, unless you're like a Ben Simmons or whatever. And yeah, I mean, like that's just a correct read, and he's constantly knocking those down. He had one against Giannis where Giannis tried to cheat go under a screen off ball. Scottie caught on the wing and immediately popped a three in his eyes. Same thing in the game today or yesterday where he did it where Keldon Johnson kind of went under on it too. So it is kind of really, to your point, changing sort of the way teams will cover him, because hopefully then teams will chase him over the top. Then he'll get more of an angle to get downhill. But ultimately, it's just, to me, it's just like a skill jump. It's a confidence jump. And like, I mean, I predicted a Scottie Barnes breakout this season. I think a lot of people did see sort of something coming, but this is like even way beyond my wildest expectations. Like any of those 3 stats are ridiculous to me.
You would have thought it was a ramp up, right? Like he would start the season well, and then maybe by the end of the season, you thought he could be at this level. And it's not like no one thinking that way would have been saying that they're not high on Scottie Barnes. It just it takes some time, and for him to come in, I was going to say day 1 of the season, we'll say day 2 for the 20-point streak or whatever. It's been pretty remarkable. On the stat you said about stocks, the blocks plus steals, he is the league leader. He has 5. Wemby and Herb Jones have 3 each. So he is well ahead and on pace to beat Bol Bol's top from last year. The other thing is, in terms of steals plus blocks, and it's early, obviously, he's on pace for 270 combined, which would be second all time in Raptors franchise history. Alex, do you know who's number 1?
No, I need a hint for this.
Well, I went to you. So it's obviously
I got a great hint for you.
Back in the era.
Oh, give me a hint.
You got a Chinese tattoo.
That doesn't narrow it down, man. I got 400 players in my head right now.
He got a Chinese tattoo that we saw in person this summer at Patois.
What? Who did we see?
How many players did you see at that restaurant?
I'm trying to think right now. I can't think of this. Just tell
Marcus
me.
Camby.
Set the scene.
I forgot
We're in June Plum.
Oh my God, I
He's-
forgot I met Marcus Camby. I was thinking AC Earl.
He had just
I was
bought,
like, there's no way.
He had just bought like 15 3XL
Sorry,
t-shirts
guys,
from
got it.
Vintage We Trust.
Oh, I got a case of the Mondays, man.
Unbelievable.
I'm locked in now.
I thought that Chinese tattoo was going to
Happy New Week, Alex.